the big one this week is obviously the OnePlus 9 and the OnePlus 9 Pro. Lots of speculation, lots of leaks from OnePlus themselves. OnePlus kind of like teasing information, but now we've got all the official information. And myself and E have actually been using the OnePlus 9 and the OnePlus 9 Pro for, I'd say, around 2 weeks now. So, you know, we did get a hold of the devices pretty early. And, you know, I'll go over what we've got and what they're featuring, but and then we'll go over some of our opinions. So the OnePlus 9 features a 6.55-inch AMOLED Full HD Plus 120Hz display. The 9 Pro has a 6.7-inch display, but that is also AMOLED, but it's Quad HD Plus, and it's also got 120Hz, but with LTPO technology. So it can go all the way down to 1 Hz as well, which gives it that flexibility. You've got the Hasselblad Partnership, right? Now this is quite interesting because we've got the same ultra-wide camera on both devices. Both of those also double up as macro cameras. Then we've got the primary cameras, which are the same size sensors, but they're actually slightly different sensors. We've got a better sensor on the OnePlus 9 Pro. Then we've got Telephoto Camera on the OnePlus 9 Pro, which will give you 3.3 times optical zoom. The OnePlus 9 does not have optical zoom. And then we've got a 2 megapixel monochrome camera, which you know, is there. Let's just say there's no compromise in terms of the specifications though, because both devices have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 chipset. Both are available with either 8 or 12 gigabytes of RAM. They both have either 128 or 256 gigabytes of UFS 3.1 storage as well. And then we've got the same 4,500 milliamp hour battery on both of these. But it's quite interesting because the OnePlus 9 Pro and the OnePlus 9 both have 65-watt charging, which is included out of the box, so thumbs up for that. And it's very fast. I mean, you can get 100% charging in like 29 minutes. It's insane how fast it is. Very, very good. But both devices do support wireless charging. However, there's a catch. So the OnePlus 9 only has Qi wireless charging 15 watts in Europe and North America. It does not have it in India and China, right? So that was something that I had to do some research. Yeah, so I actually had to kind of like really do some digging and kind of like really grill OnePlus to find out why that was, right? So, well, I don't know the reason why it was, but to find out the difference, I'm assuming it's to keep the price lower, and maybe wireless charging is not as popular in those areas. I know they go very competitive with the price in India. We've obviously got Oxygen OS based upon Android 11, and the starting price for the OnePlus 9 in the UK is £629, which is pretty competitive. It's 700 and how much is it?
29 pounds in the US.
In the US, and the OnePlus 9 Pro starts at £829 in the UK or $969 in the US. So it's very much going towards that $1,000 price point. Now, the first thing I want to say is, performance-wise, these things are top-notch, right? E, you've been testing it. You're a gamer. What do you think?
I mean, it's OnePlus. Performance is great. It's the performance you expect. Also, it's in line with everything in 888. But I would say, though, their cooling system this year, I've forgotten what they call it specifically, is definitely better, because one thing I've noticed with all the smartphones with the Snapdragon 888 that I've tested is they run hot. This is a warmer processor, just in general. So I was kind of confused when my Galaxy hit like 120 degrees Fahrenheit, which is almost 50 degrees Celsius. I was like, this is hot, right? And I realized that it's actually the processor, and that's actually Samsung. Samsung just used the same cooling they've been using. And OnePlus talked about theirs, and theirs goes about like 112, so maybe around 47 degrees or so. It's a little bit cooler. So, but in performance, I mean, it's what you expect from OnePlus.
OnePlus always has been there, and there's no compromise, right? So it's not like the OnePlus 9 is compromising in terms of the performance. That's something, you know, OnePlus has always been about speed, etc. So speed has been absolutely fine. The displays as well. The displays are very, very good. Some of the best displays out there, especially the OnePlus 9 Pro, which is primarily what I've been using. But it's not to say that the OnePlus 9 has a bad display. It's 120 Hz, it's still AMOLED, and it's pretty good. So, I mean, you know, I really wouldn't mind. And it's a flat display as well, which you might prefer to the slightly curved display of the OnePlus 9 Pro.
Yeah. I mean, they've hit I think one of the things we should appreciate with OnePlus is on the hardware side of things, they've hit improvements year to year on things that you appreciate. You know, display this year is really good on both devices. You know, the processor, the amount of RAM, you know, charging, for instance, you know, like that's not to be understated that you get, you know, you can charge within 30, I would say 30 to 35 minutes, depending on whatever your settings are and all that. There's so many factors to it, right? With a wired charger. While competitors or the big guys in that flagship range, none of them charge that fast.
They don't, and again, like even if they do charge somewhat fast, they don't include the charger out of the box. So this is something that you are getting, and I want to give OnePlus credit for that. Any manufacturer that now includes a charger out of the box, especially if it's a charger that fast, I mean 65 watts is fast. It's definitely quite impressive. The OnePlus 9 Pro also supports 50-watt wireless charging. Now that wireless charger is £70. You're gonna have to buy that separately. I don't think you really need that much of a faster wireless charger. For me, wireless charging is more of a convenience thing. So I kind of leave my phone on the wireless charger, wake up to it fully charged. So that's generally what I use it for. But you know, that option is available if you do want to buy it. And the build and design, I mean, I mean, I've got loads. I'm looking at it right now, and I've got lots of fingerprints over it because I do have the glossy version. I've got the Morning Mist. Which color did you get for the Pro?
Oh, I got the silver one.
Yeah, so that's the Morning Mist as well. So it's glossy. Now there is there are a couple of matte versions available as well, apparently, but I've not got those, and I've got the Winter Mist on the OnePlus 9, which is a bit of a purple. Again, it looks really nice,
at least
especially in pictures.
Lucky you. I got the ever sticky black.
Sticky black, is that again so glossy? So it's interesting because OnePlus really kind of went for the green with the matte finish. I don't know why they went with this. Again, I want to give them credit because they do include cases out of the box. So you know, that's okay, fine. It's glossy, it's gonna get fingerprints, but hey, you get a free case, so you know there is that. But okay, so that's the package. Speakers are also really good. You were mentioning to me that you know the speakers are quite nice, and also the OnePlus 9 Pro is louder.
Yeah, I that's what I experienced in my speaker test, which you guys can go check out. But yeah, speakers are solid on them, and again, hardware, just really good stuff.
Battery life, so it's interesting because I've primarily been using the OnePlus 9 Pro, which has been, I'd say, good for battery life. I wouldn't say it's, you know, as good as some of the others that I've tested this year, right? And Tom actually did a comparison, like a battery drain test, and he found that the OnePlus 9 actually did better compared to the OnePlus 9 Pro, both at Full HD Plus resolution. So that was quite interesting, and it seems like because the OnePlus 9 Pro has the bigger display, it's having to push out more power there, right? But because of LTPO, I was expecting it to do better. Maybe software updates will improve that. I mean, with the S21 Ultra, my Exynos version, the battery life was terrible, but after a couple of software updates, it became very good. So there is potential there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just one of those things where the battery itself, it's 4,500. You're looking at also 5G use as well, so you're going to be getting, you know, like honestly, to me, if it's with 5G connectivity, 5,000 milliamps is where the sweet spot is, plus 120 hertz. Even though it's adaptive, you still have to weigh those into account.
Yeah. So okay, that's everything about the devices. Solid devices. But then it comes to the cameras. Okay, so now let's talk about this. This is what you guys really want to hear as well. This Hasselblad partnership, you know, OnePlus has invested like $150 million. You know, we wanted to really see, is it just a case of OnePlus slapping on the Hasselblad logo, or is there actually some substance to it? So firstly, the interface has been updated. It's got more of a Hasselblad vibe to it. We've got that click, which I quite like actually. I'm gonna let you listen to it because this is a podcast. I'll let you listen to the, I don't know if you can hear that. Yeah, I don't know, little details like that, but obviously that's not what people are after. What people really want to know is how are the cameras. So I gotta say, overall, the rear-facing cameras, the ultra-wide and the primary, pretty good. And I think the main thing that they've brought over with Hasselblad is the color science, right? This is something that I have found that I do like because, you know, I think OnePlus devices generally were going more towards the Samsung style, which was, you know, very saturated, very vibrant colored, punchy shots, which some people actually do prefer. But now that they've been working with Hasselblad, they've been tuning the colors to be a little bit more neutral, a little bit more natural, I would say. And that's something that I do like, you know, lots of detail, also good dynamic range. What do you think, E?
Oh yeah, I like the color science on the dynamic range is really good. The one thing I'll tell people is if you're getting the OnePlus 9 Pro or the OnePlus 9, the display makes reds look really saturated. Trust me, it's not. When you pull it on a laptop or a computer, you actually see the difference. Because I was doing a photo shoot with Board Femme, and she was doing her photo shoot on the OnePlus 9 Pro. She wearing a red jacket, and I was like, ooh, this is more punchy than Samsung. And then we looked at it later, and it was much better. So
yeah.
So just to note it on that stuff.
So that's the positive side of things. There's also some negatives we're going to be coming to. So the telephoto camera, I mean, it's not anything great. I mean, it's just 3.3 times zoom. I would have preferred like 2 times or like 2.5 times for proper portraits, because the telephoto camera is not used for portraits at all. So I covered the telephoto camera and then I went to portrait mode, and it's just doing what Samsung does, which is cropping into the main sensor. And this is one area, the first area, which I would say was something that I was not impressed with. Portrait mode on the OnePlus 9 and the 9 Pro is not very good. Complete missing my hair and part of my face and things like that. I believe you've had a similar experience, E?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at some of the images we took yesterday. I'll be a little bit fair to them and call it spotty, right? I'll call it spotty in the sense that, a bit of a mixed bag. Some things came out really good and some things didn't. And then sometimes they missed, those, how you always did the test where it's in between your arms, when you basically kind of fold your arms, or you stand with a Superman pose and, trying to get that. It misses those spots quite a bit. So it was a mix. But the one thing, I don't know if you noticed this, because it was actually Board Friend who brought this up, was when you're taking photos with, where it's portrait or regular photos, your distance to the camera, basically in her own case, basically decided what the focus would be on the face. So her face looked less sharp the further she stood away from the camera, as opposed to when she was closer to the camera. So that was something that we found just very interesting, where she just zoomed in and she's like, why do I look like I was in the shadows?
So this is the thing, that there's definitely room for improvement. Now, there's video, I mean, 8K at 30 frames a second, both from the primary as well as the ultra-wide cameras, which was something that I've never seen before, an ultra-wide camera 8K. Quality seems to be pretty good. I do need to do more testing. I actually want to put it up against, one of the flagships, maybe the S21 Ultra. That is going to be in the works, so, watch out for that SuperSaf style camera comparison. But you've also got 4K at 120 frames a second on the OnePlus 9 Pro, which, is one of the first, I believe.
Yeah, it is. It's still something I haven't taken full advantage of, because I'm trying to capture, I think I might just have to capture cars in traffic first, just because I'm trying to think of things to do to capture it, at that speed, 4K 120.
So I was just jumping in my garden like a madman. If my neighbors were looking, they were probably thinking, what is this guy doing? So, I mean, there's that. But then, so I'd say, in a nutshell, when it comes to the rear-facing cameras of the OnePlus 9 and the 9 Pro, they're good. The 9 Pro definitely has a better camera, a primary camera, compared to the OnePlus 9. As we were expecting, it's got a better sensor. It does better low light. But, there's definitely room for improvement. Is it something groundbreaking? Is it something that we're going to be like, okay, I'm dropping my iPhone, I'm dropping my Samsung, and I'm going to start shooting with the OnePlus? Definitely not. There's definitely improvement here, but there's certainly more room for improvement. Would you agree with me, E?
I would agree. I have more faith in this partnership just because of what they said Hasselblad was going to bring for this phone. They clearly said it was a color science, and it shows. So I think if they continue with that, where Hasselblad is now bringing in more stuff, because I think most of that investment of the 150 million is probably working with them to build their own sensors, or at least work with Sony to say, okay, look, we want the sensor to look exactly
so
like
it's more
this.
This is the first one, and it's not bad for the first devices that have come from this partnership, so it looks promising going forward. Now I'm gonna go into rant mode, because when we flip over and go to the front-facing cameras, then everything that we just talked about goes out the window. Throw it out the window as far as you can, because it does not apply to the front-facing cameras. Because it seems like OnePlus were like, okay, Hasselblad, this, that, and they were really working, and then the front-facing cameras are like, all right, just throw on what was from whatever we had, similar to whatever we had on the OnePlus 8 and the OnePlus 8 Pro, which weren't really great anyway. So okay, they can take decent selfies in good lighting, and you do actually have some good dynamic range. I want to give them that, because you know, I was in situations where there was you know, a lot of kind of, you know, light coming in from the background. Actually did pretty decent, right? Portrait mode can be hit and miss, right? But then video is just atrocious. I'm going to say this, you know, I don't want to kind of put them down too much, because, you know, as I said, you've got overall good packages, but the front-facing cameras, I mean, the video is 1080p. So here, OnePlus are like, we've got this Hasselblad partnership. We've got 8K from 2 cameras. All of the other losers have got, they didn't say this obviously, but you know, kind of like, everybody else has only got 8K from the main camera, and the 8K from the main camera of the S21 Ultra also crops in crazy. So that's another thing which, you know, the OnePlus does not do. And then when it comes to the front-facing cameras, oh yeah, forget, just, you know, just 1080p, right? Yeah. And it's not only the resolution, because the quality is pretty bad. Dynamic range is not good, and it's just very soft. And yeah, I was not happy with the front-facing cameras.
No, I wasn't happy with the front-facing camera either. For me, that was one of those things where I was, because I did my comparison with the OnePlus 9 versus the S21. I was like, all right, let me just go out there and shoot some front-facing video and rear video, just quick samples so people can see. You know, my S21 set at 4K 60, and I'm like, where's this thing? I can't find. Oh. So I recorded. I was like, oh, it is 1080p 30. It's not even 1080p 60.
You can't even go there, yeah.
Yeah. So it was just one of those things where, for me, just again, if you're playing in this league, so that's the thing that OnePlus needs to understand in my mind, is that, look, right now you've got the OnePlus 9 that competes against the S21. So you're in the league already. And then you've got the Pro, which competes against the S21 Ultra. And right now, the S21 Ultra has dropped price to $900, by the way. So it's $69 less than the OnePlus, at least here in the US, in certain places. So you're going, you have to have all your ducks in a row when you're coming in to say, okay, look, we've covered all these things, especially when you're doing 4K 120. Like, how can you do 4K 120 on one end and then like,
yeah, just completely
30 on the other?
And like, this is the thing. I mean, this, you know, for a device that's $30 off $1,000, and you know, okay, in the UK you're getting, I'd say, a bit more competitive pricing. I don't know how it works in terms of imports and taxes and stuff, but yeah, £829. But that's still on the high end. You could easily get an S21 Plus for around about that much now. So you know, you're really competing against the big boys, right? And you cannot just forget a feature like that. Now, granted, I'm not somebody who, you know, lives on my front-facing camera, but you know, for me, it just doesn't add up. That just doesn't make sense. That how could you just completely disregard the front-facing camera like that when we're talking all about these rear-facing cameras? So that's probably the biggest downside for me for the OnePlus 9 and the OnePlus 9 Pro. That aside, you know, overall solid devices. I think from OnePlus. I'm interested to see where it goes for them next. I hope you enjoyed that clip. If you want to hear the full podcast episode, then that will be linked down below. And if you want to see more clips like this, then be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you don't miss them. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf Speaks, and I'll see you next time.